Hi everyone, so this is a quick video in between meetings, running around a little bit today, and something that's come out of a meeting that I've had today is the value and importance of niching. It's a word that has just seems to have appeared in the last, I don't know, in business terms, I would say probably about the last 10, 15 years, maybe a bit longer. And I've basically always talked to people about niching compared to being a generalist. And a company that I've been working with this morning on the commercial side of the business, we've been working on a strategy program for their expansion plan. So they're expanding from 1 to 4 different revenue streams, so quite a big jump for a small business. But we were talking about how the fact is that they will know and identify their market so well because they've niched. And because what they do is so particular that it speaks straight to its audience. And I know loads of people get really nervous and scared about the word niching or narrowing down their market. But I honestly feel that people who niche and who focus on a particular type of market or a particular type of product within a market actually do far better than people who try to be generalists. So I was going to give you some examples of, in my own line of work, how I see the difference and how I market completely differently, and how things just some things are really easy to market and others not so much. So for instance, my program now on disability into entrepreneurship, so about breaking down the barriers. It's a funded project, so it's not a commercial project, it's a funded project, which is a pilot scheme on working with people with disabilities and illnesses who don't currently work, and looking at taking them into a journey of potentially exploring self-employment. Now, my whole journey is that if I hadn't found self-employment, I would never have been able to have worked. And work for me has given me such a massive boost in my self-esteem. It's such a huge part of who I've become that it was so important to me to be able to try and get one of these pilot projects off the ground, which we've successfully now doing. But niching, in that sense of that I am delivering a project which is about business development or understanding and growing a startup business, exploring the idea. But my niche is that I'm only going to be working with people on this project who have a disability. And the other niche is that it's only covering Swansea Bay, because we needed to obviously, needed to be able to run the workshops and the mentoring sessions and things on a smaller level to test it out. So the uptake of that project has been really, really quick, and I've already had lots of inquiries, and the goal is to try and work with 50 people in 6 months, which is quite a goal, but at this rate it's easily going to be smashed. Then I've got another project which is a young people's heritage project, which is a group of 11 to 19 year olds who are going to be filming a documentary over summer about how young people grew up in their area of Neath Port Talbot. Again, really, really narrowed down niche. So we're filming a documentary, we are only working with young people, and it's only in Neath Port Talbot, so it's even smaller area than Swansea Bay. Hence the reason why the uptake is so quick. Then there is the commercial side of what we do, which is a little bit more generalist. And again, I find that because we haven't really niched down, that it's actually harder to find the audience. So something as specific as, swimming classes for babies, it's a really simple market. But business coaching for small businesses is such a generic thing. And actually, even over the last year or so, I've narrowed that down to micro businesses. So usually people in their early phase of startup, or just about growing and developing into, phase, the next phase of their business where they're going to be looking to outsourcing and taking on staff. Some of the clients that I've worked with have actually got staff, but they're not running more than a 6-figure business in terms of turnover. So those are the kinds of people I work with. But because what I've delivered in the past has been generic across the board business coaching and mentoring, it's so much harder because you're in a big, massive pool of people that you compete with. Whereas actually, the pool of people that I compete with when it comes to disability and entrepreneurship in Swansea Bay is so much smaller, but it doesn't mean that the money pots have to be smaller as well. The actual income generation from that is actually really, really beneficial because there's not that many people actually offering the service anyway, and certainly that very few people offering it with actual experience of having a disability and moving into entrepreneurship. So that empathy, that authenticity of knowing what they're talking about. So really, really interesting topic that I could probably talk about all day long. But could you gain a bigger, better audience from actually narrowing down what it is that you do to not just be in marketing services, media services, leaflet distribution, but actually niching down a little bit more so your campaigns are more targeted so that people can identify themselves quicker in order to buy from you. So it's something that we are certainly going to be looking more into on the commercial side because we've seen it to happen so quickly on the funded side. It's got to be worth us really taking that on board with our commercial work as well. So there you go, lesson learned for today. Narrow down, don't be afraid of it because actually it brings bigger rewards.